Hello, and welcome to the Mirrored Muse Podcast, a sanctuary for the soul and a spark for the revolutionary spirit, where our truth is reflected, our radiance remembered, and our spirit set free. I'm your host, Whitney Amber, and together we'll journey into the depths of what it means to awaken, embody, and expand as the muse of our own life. Through soulful storytelling, raw reflections, guided practices, and revolutionary conversations, this podcast is here to truly meet you in your own becoming. So, let's take a deep breath, soften our edges. It's time to step into the mirror. This is your invitation to rise. Hello, friends. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Mirrored Muse Podcast, which just so happens to be super special because 1 year ago, I hit publish on the very first episode of the Mirrored Muse Podcast in Mallorca, Spain. It was June 14th, and in honor of my late paternal grandmother, we called her Mamu. Then it was her 80th birthday. So this year did mark her 81st. And if you've been tuning in regularly, you know she has just been a huge inspiration and honestly, spirit of protection along this whole journey of healing, coming home to my feminine energy, traveling, and ultimately creating this absolute gift of the podcast. I just feel so grateful. And, my mind has just been going in a lot of different directions. And I have to be completely real too with you because I woke up and realized what day it was. And initially, I honestly just wanted to roll over and just treat it like any other day, right? No big deal. Like, what? Then I realized it was the new moon in Gemini. How divinely timed, per usual. And also, all these photos kept popping up on my phone. Hello, thank you, universe, for the extra push here. Because they were all photos of being in Mallorca, of the very first social media template created for the Instagram page for the Mirrored Muse. And I'm here to tell you, things have certainly evolved in that department over the last 12 months. And let's see what other, photos of the place I would walk to and sit for hours drinking the most delicious matcha. Usually I'd have two. And I would eat, their food was amazing. And yeah, that's just where I'd kind of hang out and be for days. And I would draft my outlines for the first few episodes of the podcast. Oh, all of which, by the way, with a view of the Mediterranean Ocean. Okay. So then after realizing, like, all of this is whirling in, and I was like, oh yeah, I absolutely will not let this just be any old day because it just isn't. It literally marks the first 12 months of me sharing my voice, my thoughts, and perspective and snippets of my own story with the world, which has been no easy feat. So yeah, I will celebrate this day. Here we are. I will take time and reflect on the year because this is only the beginning. And I mean, life certainly has changed, that's for sure. I'm obviously no longer in Spain, RIP. And, I'm back to the very place I begged the universe to not bring me back to. And wow, honestly, like, am I so grateful for unanswered prayers all of a sudden on this day too, because what a gift this season of returning home is truly turning out to be. But just a couple days prior, I was just up super late. It was leading into the new moon, and typically around new moons and full moons, my sleep gets so disrupted. And so I was just up super late doing my thing, listening to music, dancing, journaling, pulling some cards. I lit some candles, just being a modern woman. And I was just feeling a lot of different things. I remember I got this sudden prompt to pull out my old journals and specifically to go back 3 years total. So it's 2026. That would have been 2023. So I started with, going back through earlier this year, through late last year, and all the way back to June 14th of 2025. And I think about the time I hit December of last year, which was only 7 months ago, by the way, I began realizing, oh my God, so much has transpired and unfolded. And I'm just like, how have I not realized this? And how have I just let all of this slip my mind? Like these are things I've prayed for. And so, yeah, by the time I got to June, I'm like, there's just no way this is still 2025. Like, it feels like enough for at least 2 years worth, no joke. And I want to share some of these highlights with you because I think it's important to remember just how fast things can change and just how powerful, resilient, and truly capable, divinely guided we really are. Now, before I hop into my highlight reel of the highest of highlights, okay, I kept us out of the weeds and the details because we'd be here all day. But these guys, literally in just a year, okay, I've made a list. Here we go. I healed my body immensely on a physical, emotional, and energetic level, thanks to an angelic doctor in Spain. I completely cut out coffee and still going strong, which is something I thought I would never in a million years do. So insert my matcha era. I started the podcast and the Instagram account for the Mirrored Muse. I secured all the domains, all of the different handles across social medias. I donated my entire closet of suits and, well, utter beauty that was left back in Chicago, but that served this previous version of myself. I sold my car of 12 years, RIP, I do miss her. I lived in Paris for a little over a month, which brought me to life and honestly just felt like home for real. I started and am building my own business, which I always dreamed of doing and knew deep down was my calling. I developed the website, and I'm going to tell you right now, tech is absolutely not my thing, but here we are, bless. Guys, I gave countless intuitive astrology readings to people in airports, restaurants, on airplanes, couches, and from all over the world, which is crazy, I know. But this absolutely inspired my very first offering for the Mirrored Muse, which is the Cosmic Blueprint. I returned to my hometown of Jamestown, Tennessee, which never thought I'd ever. I purged my mother's entire home, room by room, which was a whole spiritual experience. I experienced the most beautiful and alchemical moments with my father for the first time in my entire life after returning to my hometown. I bopped back into teaching for a hot second, which, guys, this was my very first career ever, which started over 14 years ago. I experienced true flow in creating 9 cosmic blueprints for some girlfriends and ended up delivering the most fun and fabulous astrology / girls wine night that was hosted in Nashville. And this is what inspired the Cosmic Muse gatherings that I launched literally on the 1 year anniversary of the Mirrored Muse podcast. Like, what? How divine is this? I also found the miraculous flight credits, which blessed me with a second extended visit to Paris, which led to a quick bop to Belgium and then to San Diego. I'm feeling a move coming. I'm just saying. And last but not least, I have landed the most beautiful clients and also divine sales just by tapping into my gifts and actual fun, energizing work for the first time in my life. Like, it feels profound, but it sounds really simple. And when I'm telling you, we've just skimmed the surface, like we've just skimmed the surface. So all of that just in the past 12 months, I think you get the gist. So yeah, we're going to be celebrating and just truly overflowing with gratitude after realizing everything that has unfolded. And I'm going to tell you right now, June 14th, 2025, that version of Whitney had zero clue that any of this would transpire. Not even a fourth of this. And with that being said, I do want to circle back to the journal reread moment because there's more here. And this was absolutely huge for me. So let's rewind a little bit. So we are back to the moment just a few nights ago where I have stacks of journals out, rereading, scanning passages, to just catch vibes and moods of all the things that have unfolded and, like what was on my mind over these last few years. And also something that really caught my attention and I found to be pretty wild is that most everything I had noted that I was desiring to call into my life had pretty much stayed very consistent. And yeah, that's over a 3-year period, which also, yes, as an Aries sun and stellium, I feel that to be the equivalent of eternity, to be honest, like a very long time, much longer, honestly, than any of my normal manifestation period for sure. And almost as I was having this exact same thought, I had the biggest aha moment that dawned on me too, which was the fact that I had been asking the universe for some big things, but from a place and from this version of myself that had forgotten she was already whole. And when you're already whole, you are lacking nothing. Even these manifestations. To be whole means I'm already her. I've always been her and already experiencing these desires that I'm calling into my life. So it was almost as if in that moment, the universe was telling me, Whitney, you have now connected the final dot, right? It's almost, I felt so genuinely that the message was simply like, now it's time to embody this new version. So show up as her, bridge that gap. Stop trying to live in the process, right? Which we're always in the quote unquote middle and in the process, but like push beyond that. Feel and embody the version of her who already has these things. Guys, I know that sounds so simple, but it absolutely set in. It's like one of those things that you can hear it a million times, but until it's that moment where your whole body lights up and you feel it to your core, that's kind of what it was for me. And, as humans, we are constantly searching for all kinds of things, for answers, signs, next steps, a new strategy. And at the end of the day, it's just, we want certainty. I mean, we're constantly searching for these things, aren't we? And it's like we secretly believe the answer exists somewhere outside of us. In the books, I love a good podcast. Thank you for listening. But tarot readings, courses, experts and gurus, and for sure conversations. And while wisdom can absolutely come through other people, sometimes we're searching everywhere except the one place it already exists, ourselves. When I opened these journals, I truly had no expectation or agenda. I was just following a prompt. And I hadn't even realized at all what day it was, nor what day was coming, being the, 1 year anniversary. So by following the prompt, I guess subconsciously I was expecting nostalgia for sure, definitely some cringe things, and of course, maybe even some growth reflections. And so, yes, I found those things, and I also found evidence. I found patterns, prayers, you guys, that I completely, I don't know where they went. I just forgotten all about them. desires, and of course, wisdom. Like, that's what I found. I honestly found questions that had already been answered. And it was like all of a sudden, the thing that shocked me wasn't how much I had changed, experienced, or evolved. It was how much I already knew. It shocked me to think for 3 years, I've been the woman writing these journal entries, receiving the divine downloads and vision for every single thing I've been asking for. I was receiving the information I wasn't yet ready to trust. And how many times have you journaled the same truth in 10 different ways because you weren't ready to believe yourself the first 9? We can spend so much energy towards calling things in and vision boarding and speaking or writing the affirmations and future dreaming, all beautiful, all things that we LOVE. But we can't be, focusing so much on receiving the thing that we forget to focus on being or becoming the fully embodied version of ourselves who already have it. So what I'm going to do is I want to, because I'd written some things that stuck out to me as I was going through my own journals, and I'm going to reframe some of my own journal prompts that I've been using since this shift. And I'm going to ask you these same questions. So now you can take what resonates and just leave the rest, okay? But instead of writing the dream statement of, I want more courage and confidence, what I want to know now is, how does confident and courageous you move? How does she show up? And instead of, I want a successful business, tell me, how does the founder of a successful business make decisions and show up today? And instead of, I want a deeply loving connection and relationship, I want to know, how does a woman who feels deeply loved and connected treat herself right now? All those things are very different. Because despite popular opinion, manifestation isn't only about attracting. It's also about remembering that we literally already have the thing. We are the thing and are carrying a direct connection to the source from which all things flow. So feel free to borrow my little radiant reminder that I've been using, which I'll just say, first thing when I wake up in the morning and random times all throughout the day. And which is, I am already whole, lacking nothing. I, Whitney, am already whole. I lack nothing. It sounds so simple, but you talk about a boost in your energy. And just a little FYI, this is why the Mirrored Muse exists. Not to tell you who you are, and definitely not to tell you what to do. We're not here to give you the answers. We're not here to become another voice louder than your own, but to help you remember what you've always known. Think about it. A mirror doesn't give you answers. A mirror simply reflects what is already there. You just need to see it. You need to trust it. So, I want to invite you, grab your old journals, go through your notes app and photo album on your phone, go through letters, voice memos, old social media captions, save drafts, and all the above. Oh, and bonus points for those of you who go through your archive, especially the archive on social media, because we know that's where the magic lies. That's where that lack of self-trust lies, because why did you archive it? You can answer that for yourself, because I've already been there, and yeah, the magic lies there. Now, once you go through each of these things, whatever that looks like for you, okay? I have 5 questions that I use for myself. I'm going to give them to you, okay? So once you go through all the things, I really encourage you to reflect on these questions. First, what is it that I've been longing for? What has already arrived? What truth keeps repeating itself? What advice would that version of me give me today? And what if I just trusted her? You know, there's a version of you who has been leaving breadcrumbs of clues for years through the journal entries, through dreams, through intuition, that just knowingness, through the moments you really want to dismiss. The answer isn't hiding. It's waiting for you to look back, to see it, to recognize it, to trust it. 1 year ago, I simply started a podcast called The Mirrored Muse. Today, I'm so strongly reminded that the most powerful mirror I've ever found was nowhere outside of me. It was the voice I'd been carrying within me all along. Love, you are the muse. And sometimes we just need a little mirror moment as a reminder because, we are very human after all. So if you're feeling this, I got you. You can check out the different ways to find your muse by visiting our website at themirroredmuse.com. Now, once you go to the website, you can just click the mirror, not the mirror, the menu in the top right-hand corner. You'll scroll down to find your muse, and we would be so honored and jazzed to be a part of your beautiful journey. Wishing you the most beautiful week ahead, and I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for trusting me with your time today, for joining this conversation moment, this mirror and movement of remembering. Feel free to keep this conversation going in the comments, and if this episode moved or sparked something within you, I'd be so honored and jazzed if you'd subscribe to the podcast, share it, leave a review, or maybe just invite a friend into the conversation. You can also join our radiant community on Instagram at The Mirrored Muse, where you'll find more reflections, resources, announcements, and events. So be sure to give us a follow to stay in the know. And until next time, stay wild, stay soft, and never forget, you are the muse.